guys, the Montreal Canadiens are heading to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time since 1993. It's been a long time, Mario. I think that if I'm doing my math correctly, that's almost 30. Well, actually, 30 years? Yeah, 30 years. Yeah, it's like 28 years or something like that. It's been a long time, Mario. And honestly, this is a team that no one ever thought would make it. That's why you always got to be scared of those lower seed teams. You never know what they got up their sleeve. You know what I mean? I've always said it, Mario. I'm more scared of a lower seed team than I am of a big seed team. I am. Because here's the thing, these lower seed teams do not have expectations. They take that to their utmost advantage. So with that being said, I apologize to the Canadiens and fans out there. I didn't think this team was going to win. So, they proved me wrong. What can I say? I can't really say anything. Let's get to it, okay? This game went to overtime. The Canadiens ended up winning 3-2. Arturi Lehkonen had the game winner. He was the hero in Montreal last night, Mario. He had one goal. Cole Caulfield also had himself a goal, and Shea Weber did as well. Jeff Petrie had an assist, as well as Brendan Gallagher and Philip Denault. And Carey Price, Mario, he did good again as we expect him to. He had 37 saves out of 39 shots made by the Golden Knights, which is a save percentage of .949. Now let me go to the Golden Knights. William Karlsson had 2 assists. Alec Martinez had in the goal, and Riley Smith did as well. And Alex Pietrangelo and Shea Theodore had an assist as well. And Robin Leonard, Mario, he let up that overtime goal, which is very upsetting. He had 29 saves out of 32 shots made by the Canadiens, which is a save percentage of .906. So if that overtime goal never happened, Mario, I mean, he would have had a good game. I mean, either way, he played decently, but it really just came down to that moment in overtime. So you can only blame the defense for that one. But anyway, and Robin Leonard because he should. Whatever. Well, let's get to the stats. Okay, let's get to the box stats. Shots on goal. The Golden Knights had 39. The Canadiens had 32. Face-off percentage. The Golden Knights had 53% exactly, and the Canadiens had 47%. Power plays. Vegas had 0 out of 2, and Montreal had 1 out of 3. Wow, a power play made. I'm shocked. Penalty minutes. The Golden Knights had 6, and the Canadiens had 4. Hits wise, the Golden Knights had 31, and the Canadiens had 29. Excuse me. Blocks wise, the Golden Knights had 13. Canadiens had 14 giveaways. The Golden Knights had 25, and the Canadiens had 21. And takeaways, the Golden Knights had 5, and the Canadiens had 11. So let's talk, because a lot went wrong for the Golden Knights. First of all, you didn't make your power plays, which like I mentioned a few days ago, this was an ongoing theme in both series. Power plays just did not play a role in anything in both the series, not just this one, but the other one too, with the Islanders and Lightning. So that's been a problem for all 4 teams, to be quite honest with you. Another problem I'm looking at, giveaways. 25 times, really? This is the 3rd game you've given up the puck 25 times this series. That right there, I feel like is why that happens, is why you let this team come back and beat you. You can't be well, it's too late now. You're out of the playoffs, so best of luck to you guys in the off season. You can't rewrite your mistakes now, but you can do it next year, just not right now. But look, there were a lot of things that did not go in the Golden Knights' favor. For one thing, defense was decent up until the end. And that's when the Canadiens kind of started to come back. You know what I mean? So obviously that went wrong for them. Again, giveaways, the Canadiens took advantage of that. Obviously, the Canadiens were up 2-1 going into the third. The Golden Knights tied it, but unfortunately, they weren't able to capitalize on that. That's another thing that I look at. The Golden Knights should have capitalized on those opportunities, and they didn't. And that's another thing that cost them. So, honestly, that's really the best way I can describe it. For the Golden Knights, they were giving away the puck too much. They weren't making power plays. They weren't capitalizing on key situations. That's what went wrong for them. Now let me go to the Canadiens, okay? Because there were a couple of flaws that I noticed as well. For one thing, giveaways. Once again, 21 giveaways. This has to be the 3rd time for them as well that they've given up the puck more than 20 times. You can't be doing that against the Lightning and Islanders. I know they've been doing it a lot too, but the difference between them is that they just go back at it with each other. And they will do that to you. They will. Because that's what they do. You know what I mean? And I say Lightning or Islanders because Game 7's on tonight. That has not happened yet. But we don't know who they're going to face until Game 7 is decided tonight. But look, whoever you face, this is the Canadiens' toughest test. It wasn't gold. It wasn't Vegas. It wasn't Winnipeg. It wasn't Toronto. It's who you face in the Stanley Cup Finals. That right there is your test. That right there is your test because those two teams don't mess around. You know, the Tampa Bay Lightning are still defending their Stanley Cup title. The New York Islanders are willing to dethrone them to go to the Stanley Cup final and maybe even win it. You never know. You know, so I don't forget those last three teams, okay, that they face in the series, all right? I'm looking at Game 7, right? If I'm everybody in that locker room, I am watching Game 7 tonight. I am. Which, by the way, in case if you want to watch Game 7 for yourself, that'll be on tonight, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on NBC Sports Network. So you want to check that out, make sure you do. But if I'm the Montreal Canadiens tonight, because the schedule has not been released, because Game 7's on tonight at 8 p.m., I am watching Game 7 and seeing what both teams are made of because either way, you're facing one of those two teams. And if I'm the Canadiens as well, after I watch Game 7, I'm going back to those other three series and I'm looking at what this team can do better. Because don't get me wrong, this team has done a lot of things great, but again, there are things that they need to work on. Like I said, giving the puck away. That's something they can't be doing. Power plays. You got to make those power plays. I mean, that's something you really can't practice, but again, that's something you can look at and be like, all right, we need to do better on this. You know what I mean? You got to win your faceoffs as well. You have to do that. All right, that's another thing they have to do. But other than that, Mario, I look at it defensively, they're really good. They're very physical. That can definitely be used to their advantage. They took the puck away a lot, which is really good. But I'm looking at those key things, right? I'm looking at capitalizing on opportunities. I'm looking to stop giving away the puck. I'm looking to make my power plays. I'm watching Game 7, and I'm looking back at all those other three series and seeing what this team can do better. That's what I'm doing because you need to do whatever it takes to beat one of those two teams that you face in the Stanley Cup Finals. It's not going to be easy. And I mean, it never was to begin with, but this right here is your true test. So, as for the Vegas Knights, you know, their season came to an abrupt end, and I wish them the best of luck in the offseason. As for the Canadiens, honestly, don't count them out just yet. They made it this far. No one expected them to, so you know, don't count them out. You know, I mean, I did early on, and damn, was I proven wrong? But look, to whoever the Canadiens face tonight, in the Stanley Cup Final. My bad. Best of luck to them. And again, congratulations on going back to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time in almost 30 years. And we'll see what happens, and we'll see who they face in the Stanley Cup Final. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations to the Montreal Canadiens on going to the Stanley Cup. First time since 1993. As for the Vegas Knights, you know, again, it's back to the drawing board, but they did have a good season, Nate. You know, it was a pretty good season for them. It wasn't as memorable as their first season, no, but regardless, it was still a good season. You know, they ended up eliminating the President's Trophy winners in the Colorado Avalanche. They ended up doing that, so I got to give them a lot of credit there. They ended up winning the first series against the Minnesota Wild. Right. So they have had some good moments in these playoffs. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, Nate. You know, you look at the stats, and again, like they go 0-for-2 on power plays, and the Canadiens capitalize on one of those power play. Oh, excuse me, I'm on the wrong game. My bad. They hang on, I got you right now. My bad. I look at the stats, and the Canadiens capitalize 1 out of 3. The Vegas Knights don't capitalize at all, 0-for-2. And then you look at other stuff such as again, they had 25 giveaways, the Vegas Knights, but the Canadiens had 21, so they didn't do a great job neither, you know. The takeaways were great. I mean, 11 takeaways for the Canadiens compared to the Vegas Knights 5. That's definitely going to matter right there. Overall, Nate, I look at it, and again, it was a defensive game throughout, and I just think it came in overtime, and at the end of the day, the Canadiens were able to capitalize in overtime. Lehkonen ended up having a good. He ended up getting a good goal, and they ended up winning the series. It's as simple as that. You know, they fought hard. I got to give credit to Robin Lehner. I think he did a lot better than what I thought he was going to do. I mean, Robin
he did do a great job.
Yeah, I mean, he had 29 out of 32 saves, which was a percentage of .906. So I thought I personally thought that it was good. I thought the Canadiens were gonna beat them by like 2 or 3 points, okay? Because as soon as I seen Robin Leonard was in the goal, I was like, damn, they didn't stick with Fleury, because I thought that's something they could have did was stick with Fleury, but they ended up going with Leonard, and he did a good job until the very end. I'll say this though, there's 2 stars in the Canadiens that really helped them get to where they are, okay? And those 2 stars are Caulfield and Carey Price. Okay, I look at the stats, Nate, and first of all, I go to Cole Caulfield. Cole Caulfield, he had a point in every single game except for game 4. He had a point in every single game except for game 4. So I got to give him credit there. He was consistently contributing to the team. And this is completely different than like some team like the Lightning, If one of the guys in the Lightning, like Stamkos, gets an assist, we're saying they're not doing enough. Why? Because those guys on the Lightning, like I mentioned a million times, Kucherov, Point, Stamkos, and Hedman, those are like the leading scorers on that team right there. So when they're only doing something like 1 assist, again, we're saying they're not doing enough because they can do so much more. In this case, it's a lot different. See, with the Montreal Canadiens, the whole team gets involved. Every single game, it's the whole team getting involved. There's not that star player. But if you had to point to some guy, it'd be Cole Caulfield and Carey Price. Nate, let me tell you something. Besides game 1, every other game, his save percentage was above 90. So it just shows you how good Carey Price was in this whole series. Now he's got to be equally as good, because now looking ahead, these goalies for the Islanders or Vasilevsky for the Lightning, they're good goalies. So you got to be on your A game just like you were this series. But overall, Nate, if I had to point to stuff that the Canadiens can improve on, definitely power plays. This game they did okay, but other than that, power plays has been an issue. Again, defensively, they've been doing a great job. They've been able to pressure the Golden Knights into getting a lot of giveaways this series. So if you could do that against whichever team comes next, that'll be a good advantage on your side. And overall, Nate, I think whether it's the Lightning or the Islanders, like you said, it's going to be a tough challenge for them. But I think in 2 different senses. So let's suppose the Lightning do make it, right? They got to worry about guarding that whole the 4-headed monster. They got to worry about guarding those guys, those leading scorers. Okay. And they also got to make sure that offensively they can keep up with them, because defensively they've been doing a great job. We don't know what they're made of offensively because the Vegas Knights didn't get to a period where they were good offensively, if that makes sense. So there was that. But if it's the Islanders, Nate, it's whichever team's going to be the better defensive team. Because I look at the Islanders and I look at the Canadiens, and I think they're very, very similar teams, Nate. These are teams that, look, we don't have this big star that you guys are, we don't have these big stars, but this whole team gets involved. So it makes it pretty tough for you to figure out which one of us to double team or which one of us to guard or who the offense runs around. And then at the same time, they're good defensively to where they can stop, to where they can slow you down to the point where they can end up getting the win. It's the same thing with the Canadiens. They don't have that star, but their defense is able to slow you down to where their offense could catch up. The Islanders and the Canadiens, in my opinion, that'll be the most entertaining series. If it's the Lightning and the Canadiens, that's going to be the most testing series for them. So again, it all depends. But like you said, obviously, if you're Canadiens, you're watching that game at home and you're seeing what each team is made of. You're watching probably previous games from before that same series, maybe even previous series. You're watching a lot of film. And overall, Nate, the Canadiens got to be ready for whoever's next. But regardless, as of now, the Canadiens are in the Stanley Cup. First time since 1993, so that is a big accomplishment for them. Especially the fact that, nobody expected this team to go anywhere, and they ended up becoming the finalists, and they ended up becoming the best team coming out the West. So overall, Nate, I'm going to say this, whether it's the Islanders or the Lightning, they're going to have a big task on their hands too. So they better be ready as well. But with that being said, best of luck to the Canadiens in the Stanley Cup. As for the Vegas Knights, again, you guys had a great season, but it's back to the drawing board. And yeah, Nate, we'll see who the Canadiens end up facing in the Stanley Cup.